Have you ever wondered why something that only takes a few minutes to make can take forever to actually get? It's a super common frustration, right? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that mystery by looking at 3 critical clocks that run every single business, whether you're making coffee or building cars. Let's get into it.
So, here's our game plan. We'll start with that universal feeling of waiting. Then we'll look at the whole process from 3 different angles. First, there's the customer's clock. That's your total wait time. Then the producer's clock, which times the actual work. And finally, the market's clock, which sets the perfect pace. We'll see how they all connect and point us toward the ultimate goal, a state of perfect, effortless flow.
All right, so let's start with a feeling we all know way too well, the frustration of waiting. It's that huge gap between how long we think something should take and how long it actually does.
I mean, think about your morning coffee run. The barista might only spend 2 minutes, tops, actually grinding the beans, pulling the espresso shot, and steaming the milk. So where on earth did the other 13 minutes just vanish? This simple question, you guys, is the key to unlocking a massive amount of hidden waste and inefficiency in pretty much any process you can think of.
Okay, to really understand that whole 15-minute wait, we have to start by looking at the clock that matters most to the person waiting in line. That's you, the customer. And this is what we call lead time. It measures the entire experience from your point of view.
So here's the deal with lead time. The clock starts ticking the very second you say, "I'll have a latte," and it does not stop until that finished coffee is in your hand. It includes everything, not just the work, but all the waiting in line, all the queuing, all the little delays in between. It's the full timeline from A to Z. So, to put it simply, lead time is for the customer. It's their clock. It measures their entire journey, warts and all. And that's why it's so important. It literally defines how they perceive your service. A long lead time feels like slow service, even if your team is working lightning fast during their individual steps. Now, let's switch gears and look at things from the inside, from the producer's side. If lead time is the customer's clock, then cycle time is the producer's clock. This one measures the actual hands-on work that's being done.
So, cycle time is how long it actually takes to perform one task on one single item. Back to our coffee shop, it's those 2 minutes the barista is actively making your specific drink. It's what we call value-added time, where the thing is actually being made or transformed.
So, cycle time, that's a metric for the ops team. It's a measure of efficiency for a specific person or a specific station. Understanding your cycle time helps you see how fast you can work, but like we're seeing, it really doesn't tell the whole story. It's just one small piece of that much, much bigger lead time puzzle.
And now this third clock, it's totally different. Lead time and cycle time are things you go out and measure with a stopwatch. Takt time is something you calculate. It's not a measure of how your process is running now, it's the pace your process needs to hit to keep up with your customers. You can think of it as the heartbeat of your whole operation.
The word takt is actually German for a conductor's baton, which is just a perfect metaphor, right? It sets the tempo for the entire orchestra of production. And the formula, it's simple, but it is incredibly powerful. You just take your total available work time and divide it by the number of things your customers actually want.
Let's run a quick example here. Say a factory has 26,400 seconds of available production time in one shift, and that's after you take out breaks, meetings, all that stuff. Now, if customers are demanding 500 units during that same shift, you just do the math. 26,400 divided by 500 gives you a talk time of 52.8 seconds. That means to perfectly keep up with demand, one finished unit needs to roll off the assembly line every 52.8 seconds. So you see, takt time is for the entire system. And again, it's not a measurement, it's a target. It aligns everyone and everything to the rhythm of the market. And its real purpose is to help you make exactly what's needed, exactly when it's needed, which, by the way, is the very core of a lean pull system.
Okay, so we've defined our 3 clocks. Now for the fun part. Let's see how they all work together, because this is where the really big aha moments happen.
This visual says it all, doesn't it? This brings our coffee problem to life. The customer, that's you. You experience the entire 15-minute lead time, but the actual value-added work, the cycle time, is just this tiny little 2-minute sliver. That huge gap between them, that right there is all the hidden waste. The waiting, the delays, the inefficiency, it's hiding in plain sight.
And this timeline shows you exactly where those 13 minutes of waste are hiding. Look, the clock starts at minute 0 when you order, right? But the actual work, that 2-minute cycle time, it doesn't even start until minute 11.
Everything else, all those gaps in between, that's just waiting. That is the non-value added time that we need to attack. So here's a really simple way to keep it all straight. On the left, you've got the things we measure to figure out where we are right now. Lead time tells us what the customer is going through, and cycle time tells us how fast our individual steps are. Then on the right, you've got what we need. That's takt time, the calculated target that tells us how fast we need to be going.
Now, why does all this matter so much? Just look at this table from the Toyota Production System Handbook. In both scenarios, the daily demand is exactly the same, 100 pieces. But with old-school batch processing, you've got tons of inventory just sitting around, and it creates a lead time of 30 cycles. By moving to a continuous flow, you basically eliminate that inventory, and you slash the lead time by 90%, down to just 3 cycles. That's not just an improvement, that is a revolutionary difference.
And this really brings us to the ultimate goal of all this. Understanding these 3 clocks isn't just some academic exercise. It's about giving us a clear target to aim for, creating a state of perfect, continuous flow by closing that massive gap we saw.
Honestly, the entire philosophy of Lean is aimed squarely at this. The goal is to make the lead time, that total customer experience, shorter and shorter and shorter. And how do you do that? By systematically hunting down and eliminating muda, which is the Japanese term for waste. It's all that non-value-added time we saw on the coffee shop timeline.
So, how do you find the real source of that waste? Well, a classic technique, made famous by Toyota's Taiichi Ono, is to just ask why 5 times. As this great example shows, you don't just stop at fixing the blown fuse. You keep digging. Why did it blow? Overload. Why the overload? Bad bearing. Why the bad bearing? No lubrication. Why? A faulty pump. Now you can solve the real problem for good.
And this right here is the dream state. It's a process so smooth, so efficient, that the customer's total wait time, the lead time, is almost identical to the actual work time, the cycle time. Everything is just produced in a state of continuous flow, perfectly synchronized to the heartbeat of customer demand, our takt time. So, I'll leave you with a question to think about for your own world. It doesn't matter if you're in an office, a factory, or even a coffee shop. Where is the biggest wait in your work? Where's that hidden waste between the start and finish of a task? And now that you know what to look for, what's the first step you could take to start removing it?